If you want to create a brand new website for your business in a clean, bold, confident style that's inspired by the world of sports and CrossFit and all those things that I don't actually do myself, but I like them on a website, or if you just want to learn the ropes of creating a free WordPress site using Elementor, you are in luck, because today we're going to go step by step to create this website or one like it, which takes its cues from athletic sources. So as you can see, it works equally well for a CrossFit studio or for a business like yours. You know, one that wants that bold, confident aesthetic that doesn't take itself too seriously, because, as they say,
if you can't be an athlete, be an athletic supporter.
Alright, so this is my third video now showing you how to create a new business website in a particular specific style with new, very current inspiration. So if you want to see the others, just click right up there for that playlist. And I do plan on adding more styles to the mix in upcoming videos too. So if you don't really like this athletic style, that's okay. You might like my Apple-inspired or Instagram-inspired versions better. Or feel free to just follow along here so you can at least learn how to use Elementor. You know, you're still going to learn those basics either way. And honestly, if you have any inspiration point of your own, you can very easily use what you learn in this video to bring that other style to life as well. So in just about 30 minutes to an hour, you can have a website very similar to this one, live and online. Just pop in your own photos and text and you're good to go. So let's just jump right into the computer and get started. Okay, so starting right out, we're in the dashboard area of your WordPress. And if you don't have hosting yet, if you don't have WordPress installed yet and you need hosting, just go to wesmcdowell.com/hosting. That is my affiliate link, but it will give you my discount for my preferred hosting of choice. So that would be the first step if you don't already have that. But once you're there, once you've got WordPress installed, what we need to do is install the plugins that are going to help us build our pages. So what we do is go over to Plugins, Add New, and the first one we're going to look for is called Elementor. And then the first one here, Elementor Page Builder, just click on Install Now and then Activate. And this one is completely free. There is a pro version that has extra features involved with it, but we're not going to use that today. And we're just going to click out of here because there's one more plugin we need in order to build our menu, because that is normally a thing that you need Elementor Pro for. So what we're going to do is a little workaround. So then click on Search Plugins and you're going to type in Elementor Header Footer, and it's this first one right here, Elementor Header Footer and Blocks Template. So just click on Install Now and Activate. Next thing, we actually need our theme to be working here. So go over to Appearance and Themes. What we want to do is choose one that's going to work the best with Elementor. And honestly, Elementor works with all themes, but there's one that they built themselves that works best with it. So I'm going to click on Add New Theme, and I'm going to search for Hello. And it's this one right here. Just click on Install and Activate. All right, so let's just go back out to the dashboard here. Okay, so now we're back on the dashboard and we're just going to see where it says Elementor Overview right here, and we'll just click on Create New Page. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is get rid of this header content that they like to put there. So what we're going to do is go down to the little gear icon, Settings, and then Page Layout. We're going to choose Elementor Canvas, and that's just going to give us a brand new, completely blank screen to work with. Okay, so now let's go ahead and just set up our fonts and colors. So we're going to go up to the little hamburger icon up there, and let's do fonts first. Just click on that. And from here, what we're going to do is we're going to choose all the different text for the headlines, subheadlines, body text, and accent text, which is actually the text on the button. So hopefully you've had a chance to go to Google Fonts. Just search Google Fonts on Google, and they've got thousands of fonts you can choose from. But for this one, I've got some picked out that I like. They've got that kind of athletic look. So for the headline, I'm going to choose one called, I'm not sure, it's Rajdhani. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, but Rajdhani. Same for the secondary headline. And then for body text, I'm going to go for something simpler. I like Montserrat for a body copy font. And then for the accent text for the button, I'm going to do the same as we did for the header. All right. And then here's something important, guys. You always need to click on Apply, or it's not going to save those changes. Okay, now for the colors, let's go back to the little hamburger icon and then default colors. So what this is really going to do is it's just going to let you set the colors for your text and for your buttons. So for primary text, I mean, you could just choose black if you wanted, but I'm going to choose this really kind of dark blue color. It's almost black. And I'm going to do the same for all of the text blocks. And then I've got kind of a yellow-green color that I'm going to choose for the button. And then I'm going to click on Apply. Keep in mind, you don't have to do this. You can just kind of change the elements as we go, no problem. But this just makes it a little faster. Okay, so now we can have some fun and actually start building our page. So just to explain the basic structure of Elementor, so what we've got here is on the left sidebar, we have all of our settings and widgets. So if you click on this little grid icon here, these are all the different elements, the different widgets we can drag into place. So the basic structure of this is sections, like this will be a section, and then within sections you can put columns, however many you want, and then inside of columns you can put any of these widgets, and then you can style all of those elements together to really look any way you want them to look. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a hero section up top, and there's a few ways we can do this. The first way is just by clicking on the folder, and that's going to bring up templates. Okay, it starts us off with page templates. I don't recommend using them. I never like to use these because they basically just make you shoehorn your own content into stuff they've already figured out independently. So what I like better if you're going to start with something is blocks. So these are basically just all these different really simply styled elements that you can drag and then customize the look of. And they're organized into categories. So if you wanted an About Us section or a contact section or a pricing section, they've got all these different things. And you will notice a lot of them are denoted as Pro. So anything with the Pro feature, you need to have Elementor Pro in order to use. But anything without that is going to be free. Okay, so let's exit out of this actually. We're going to do this first section from scratch so you can really see how it's done. So I'm just going to click on the plus icon. And here's where you can choose however many columns you want. I'm just going to choose one at this time. So I'm going to go up to the grid and I'm going to choose a heading and drag that right in here. And then a text block, or text editor rather, followed by a button. Now you definitely have a few options in terms of styling this right off the bat, just in terms of like where the text goes. So the first thing we're going to do is under layout, we're going to keep it unboxed. And what this does is it allows you to determine how wide the space is that's usable by text. And I like this to be somewhere around 800 usually. Any bigger, and then there's just people's eyes have to go too far from the left to the right, and it just looks a little sloppier that way. And then for height, what we can do is default, or you can choose a minimum height right here. So you could do, let's say 600, and then it would always be at least a minimum of 600 pixels tall. Or you can do a fit to screen, which means whatever browser size the person comes to your website with, however big that browser is, this section is going to take up that whole space, and they'll have to scroll down to see more. But for now, I'm going to leave it on default. And then vertical align just says whether this stuff is going to be toward the top or the bottom or right in the middle. So I'm going to keep it on default right now as well. So let's make this look a little bit more like a hero section. So I'm going to click the entire section, which, just click these six dots right here, and then go to Style. And here we're going to put in a background image. So we can either do a color, a gradient, we can do a background video, or a slideshow. I'm just going to keep it simple. We'll do classic, and we're going to choose an image. Now I've already got our images loaded up here, so let's just start with this athletic style image, and we'll change it out later. I just want you to see that this works equally well for both. And I'm going to do under size, I'm going to choose cover. Okay, so now it's time to start playing around with the space here and try to make it look a little more like it should. So let's choose the section again, and we'll go back to layout, and I'm going to go to height, and I'm going to choose a minimum height of 700. Okay, now I'm going to go to Style, and I'm going to actually change the position. So you can change the position of the background image to, bottom center or bottom left. you can basically change it around, and it's depending how big the photo is. Some of these won't even really show much of a difference, but I'm just going to choose center center. That's what I usually like to go with. And then here's another trick too. See how I'm scrolling down and the image is going with? What I like better is when that image stays in place. So the way you do that is just go to attachment and fixed. That way when we start scrolling, the image stays right where it's at. Okay, so now what we want to do though is we want to add a bit of a color overlay on top of this. So the text is going to be easier to read. So with the section still selected, still on style, we're going to collapse background and we're going to go to background overlay. And you can just do a one color, like you could just do a blue like that. And you can always play around with how opaque that is or how transparent it is, whatever looks good to you. We're actually going to do a gradient for this one though. And from here, you just choose your two colors. So I've got this one picked out for here. And you can always play around with the opacity of that as well. So I've got it kind of exactly how I want it here. And then I'm going to do a darker blue for this color. Okay, so now see how it basically goes from dark to light in a straight line. What I want to do is actually change this from linear to radial. And that's going to make more of a circle effect, basically highlighting the subject. Okay, so I definitely want to make this a little bit darker, a little more moody. So let's go ahead and change the opacity. Let's bring that up to like around 90 or so. That looks pretty good. And then here's where we can change. Basically, we can make that circle, that center circle, bigger or smaller. So I'm going to put this maybe around 10 and put this one a little more like around 70. That way we have like a really nice highlight and it's kind of moody because it's pretty dark around the edges there. And this is something I've definitely noticed on a lot of these kind of CrossFit inspired websites. So I like the way this looks very much. So now what we're going to do is start styling the text so that it actually can show up on top of this. So we're going to choose the headline and we're going to go to style and I'm going to change the text color to white. And then I'm going to click on typography. And here's where we can change a lot of stuff. We can change the size. We can change the weight. Right now it's kind of bold. I'm just going to make it normal, I think. And I'm also going to make it all caps. I think that's going to make it look more, give it that more kind of performance feel. So I'm going to click on uppercase. I'm actually going to make this text a little bit bigger. And we can change the line height, basically making it super wide between the lines or shorter between the lines. And then I want to center justify it. I have to go to content to do that. So just click on center right there. And now I'm going to give some attention to the body text. So just click on that. And then style, text color, also white, then typography. Gonna bump up the size slightly. I think that looks pretty good. And I'm gonna center that as well. All right, and finally the button, so just click that. I'm gonna center it first of all. And then the text you're gonna change right here. Oh, this is important to note too, I haven't really said this yet. Whenever you've got text, this is just dummy text, so you would just click on it, whether it's a header or a body text, and then just go over to content, and then just change what it says over here. Probably should have said that earlier, but that's how you do that. So I'm gonna click back on the button and then go to, and then click here, that's where you would change the text. Go to style, and obviously the white, I don't even know if you can even see this, but the text is white on that yellow and it's not showing up at all. So I'm gonna choose our blue, our really dark blue color. And I'm gonna go to typography and I'm gonna change this to uppercase as well. And I think I want to make it bold. And if I wanted to change the size, I would just do it like this. I think that looks pretty nice. And then here's another thing you can do with buttons. So you can either have them be completely squared off, or like this one is now, it's got kind of a rounded edge to it. Or what I like to do better, what I'm going to do is kind of a pill shape, oval edges. So while we're still on style, we're going to go down to border radius, and we're just going to bump this up until we get to that shape. There we go. All right, so that looks pretty good. So obviously we know this works for kind of a CrossFit look, but now let's just see what it would look like with a normal photo for your business. So let's go ahead and click on style, background, and let's just change this image out. I'm just gonna change it to this one. So I think this works equally well for both cases. It just has that kind of confident, bold look associated with like a trainer website or a CrossFit website, but it can still work for just about any kind of business if you don't want to come across as stuffy. Okay, moving down the page, we're going to add a little benefits section. So we're going to do this one from scratch as well. So I'm just going to click on the plus sign and I'm going to choose a 3-column layout. And under layout, so boxed, basically this one is boxed, remember? We specified how much space it takes up in the middle. I'm gonna make this section though, not boxed, but full width. That gives everything a little bit more breathing room, especially in a 3-column layout like this, it works really well. So I'm going to go up to the little grid, choose a heading, and I'm gonna drag it into this first one right here. And then a text editor, and then actually an icon. So right here, take that, I'm gonna put it right above the title actually. And you know how we can choose the whole section by clicking here? We can also choose individual columns to style by clicking on the little gray box right here. So I'm gonna click that, and we can give this its own background color. So I'm gonna go to Style, under Background Type, I'm just gonna do Classic, and then Color, you just choose a color here, and I'm gonna choose this dark blue. And this obviously means now we need to change the styling of the text to make it readable. So I'm going to choose the heading, Style, Text Color White, and while we're at it, I'm gonna change the typography. I'm gonna make it 35, and then I'm gonna make this uppercase as well. And then I'm gonna choose the body text, Style, Text Color White, and then typography. Let's make it a little less bold. I'm gonna choose, so basically these numbers are different levels of boldness, and depending on the font, there might be all these different levels. Some of them won't have that, but I think this one does. I'm gonna choose 300, and then I'm gonna choose the icon, and I'm gonna, first of all, before I choose the right icon, let's just go ahead and get our styling out of the way. I'll choose Style, Primary Color, and I'll choose this like really bright orangey red color. Okay, so one thing you'll notice here, everything is very close to the edges, and this is one really rookie mistake I see people make a lot, and it makes a site look cluttered more than anything else. So here's how we fix it. We choose the whole column, and then we go up to Advanced. Now don't let that worry you, it's not that advanced. So there's a few things here. We have margin and padding. So think of margin as the space from the outside of the box to the next element. Like if we wanted white space before anything else is here, that would be a margin. Space within a box or within any kind of given element, that's padding. So if we wanted, 100 pixels between this line and then the edge of the box, that's padding. So that's what we're gonna do here. And with both of these, we have the option of linking all the values together, meaning it would be the same space on all sides of the box, or we can do it independently. But for now, let's keep it together. And I'm just gonna do 60. And I think that looks much better. So let's just do a little housekeeping here. I'm gonna choose a new icon. So choose that, and then go to Content, and then you would just choose Icon Library. And they've got a bunch of them here to choose from. And if you can't find exactly what you want, sometimes you just have to get creative with finding, metaphors for what you're trying to convey. I'll just go ahead and choose a clipboard here. And then from there, what you can do is you can change the size of it if you want with Style. Just go up to Style, then Size. You can kind of make it whatever you want it to be. You can rotate it if you want. There's all kinds of options for you. I'm just gonna bring it back to how it was. Now I'm gonna choose the heading text. I'm gonna go to Content, and I'm gonna center that. And I'm actually just gonna make this a little smaller and text-wise. And I'm gonna go ahead and center this text as well. So select that, and then under Alignment, just choose Center. Okay, so we want, that's benefit 1, we need 2 and 3. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna right click on each of these and delete. Same here, delete. And then I'm gonna go here, right click, duplicate, right click, duplicate. But what I wanna do is give each of these a different background color to kind of make it more interesting. So I'm gonna choose that center column, go up to Style, and then Color, I'm going to choose a new blue, a little brighter. And then I'm gonna choose this column and give that one a new one as well. So Style, Color. All right, so let's take a look at what we've got so far. Looking pretty good, I think. So I'm gonna go back to the panel. And now we just need to change out this text and these icons. Just click the text, whatever benefit 2 is, whatever benefit 3 is, and then click on the icon, and you'll just click on Icon Library and choose something new. All right, so new icons, and now it is time for our next section, which will just be a simple About Us. So let's just click on the plus icon, and this time we're gonna choose a 2-column layout. We'll go up to the Widgets area. I'm going to take a heading, drag it in place here, and a text editor right underneath it. and then up to the widgets, and I'm going to drag an image right into there. Now you could also do a video if you wanted, and then what you would do is you would just put in your URL of the video there. It's a great thing to do if you have one, but for now I'm just going to delete it. Okay, so what are we noticing first? It's way too close to the edges, right? So let's click the whole section and go up to advanced, and let's give this a margin on the top and bottom of 50. And then let's just choose the image. So just click right on the image here and then choose image. And I've got one picked out right here. So let's go ahead and insert that. And then we just need to style our text. So click on the headline, go up to style, typography, and let's just bump that size up a bit. I think that looks nice. And I'm going to make this uppercase as well. And then you would add in your text. I'm just going to kind of copy this and paste it just so it looks a little bit more like a real text block. But what if we wanted a simple text link here that would direct people to your About Us page? So what you can do is go up to the widget, and I'm just going to take another text editor, put it right here, and I'm going to change this text to say, all right, so let's just go ahead and style that. Go up to style. I'm going to choose that same dark orange red color for that. And then for typography, I'm going to change it to our other font. And then transform it to uppercase. Bump up the size ever so slightly. That looks pretty good. And then the way that you would make this a link is you would go up to content, and you would just select this. You would click on this little link right here, and then from there you just type in the URL you want it to go to and click on apply. Simple as that. Okay, so one thing I'm noticing, let's go ahead and check this out, what it looks like. What I think I would actually rather all this text be lined up in the middle of this photo, so let's see how we do that. We just click on the section, go to layout, and then vertical align, I'm going to say middle. And then the other thing I'm noticing, I feel like there's not enough space between the image and the text. So if we keep the section highlighted under layout, columns gap is how we fix that. So right now it's default. You can change it to wide or wider. And I think wide looks pretty good. That looks definitely better to me. Okay, so now we're ready to move on to a services section. So let's say you've got a few different services you want to direct people to. We can show those off. So just click on the plus. We'll do a one column layout right here. Go to widgets, choose a heading, drag it right in. And we'll say our services. And I'm going to align that in the center. Let's go up to style. And I'm going to go to typography. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. I actually want to match this one. So here's a little trick. What we can do is actually right click on this text and say copy, and then go in here and say paste style. That way it's the same size and it's nice and consistent, but I'm going to go ahead and re-center that now. All right, but I want to give this kind of a background. So let's choose the section, go up to style, and background type classic. Color, and let's choose this kind of bright blue. And here's something worth noting as well. Whenever you choose a color, you can always add it to the color picker up here. Once it's here, all you do is click on the plus, and that adds it to it so you don't have to keep typing it in, and you'll always have it for later. All right, so now let's choose the text and make it white. So go to style, text color white, perfect. So now is where we're going to put in our actual services. So just click on the plus icon, so get rid of this, and we'll choose let's just say you have 3 services. Like this would depend on how many services you have, obviously. You probably wouldn't want to put more than 4 in a single, single column layout. So for our purposes, I'll say 3. And under layout, we'll make sure it is full width, not boxed. All right, so let's go ahead and choose a heading. I'm going to drag that right into the first box. And what we're going to do is have all of our services listed with a nice image behind them that needs to be big enough to be seen. So let's choose this column and go up to advanced. And we're going to do padding, but we're not going to link all the values together this time. We want it to be a little more space on the top and bottom than the left and the right. So I'm going to unlink it, and I'm just going to do this manually. I'm going to do 150, then 50, 150 again, and 50 again. That gives us a lot of room around it for a photo behind it to further sell what the service actually is. So I'm going to choose that text. I'm just going to type in service 1. We're going to center that. And let's go up to style, typography. I feel like the size of it is fine, but I do want to remember transform it to all uppercase just to be consistent. And then I'm actually going to make the text color white, and you'll see why in a second because it'll show up when we have the image. Now what we're going to do is choose the whole column and go to style and background classic and then choose an image. I've got this one ready to go. And by the way, I've got all my images in here already, but if you don't, it's as simple as just taking the image file and dragging it into place, and then it uploads it, and then there you go. So I'm going to click on Insert Media, and size, I'm going to do cover, because otherwise it's way too big there. But I would like this text to be a little more readable, so I'm going to get rid of background, and I'm going to choose background overlay, and then just a classic one this time. And for the color, I'm going to do this blue color. But here's something interesting. So we've got blend mode. So this can be a little confusing, but it makes sense when you play around with it more. So this is just normal, where it just kind of lays the color on top, and it makes things a little kind of, I wouldn't use the word muddy, but it kind of flattens everything out a little bit. But if you did multiply, then it really brings out more of the highlights and the shadows and stuff. So, and from here you can still play around with how opaque or how transparent it is. So I'm going to go somewhere right around here. I think that looks pretty nice. Okay, but we have two more to do. So again, I'm going to right-click delete, then right-click duplicate, and once more. From here, we just change the service name and the background image. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll just do it on the 1. So we click that and go to just call it whatever that service 2 is. And then we'll choose the image. Well, actually, we choose the column, then go to style, and we have to change the background image. So click choose image, and then do the same for the third one. All right, and just so these kind of all are differentiated a little bit more, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to choose the middle one, just the whole column, and under background overlay, I'm going to change this one from this blue to the more deep dark blue. And I might go ahead and bump up the opacity just slightly. And that way we've got a little bit more separation between the services. Okay, but now we need a testimonial section. I think no homepage rather is complete without one. So let's go ahead and click on the plus sign, just a 1-column layout for this. We will drag in a heading, and we'll just call this Success Stories. And we're going to borrow the style from up here. So I'm just going to right-click here, copy, right-click, paste style, and I'm going to go ahead and center that. But again, we're a little too close to the section above, right? So I'm going to click on the section, advanced, and I'm going to unlink these values, and I'm just going to give it a top value of 50. All right, so now we need a place for the actual testimonials to go. I'm thinking a nice 3-column layout will look really nice. So let's click on the plus, 3 columns. And here is something cool. So I'm going to go back up to widgets. Up till now, every kind of widget we've dragged in has been just really simple, one element at a time, a headline or a text field or an image. But they actually have some things that I call, I like to call them compound elements, basically like image boxes or icon boxes, galleries. But this one I'm going to look for, whenever you're looking for something, you can actually just type it in up here. So I'm going to do testimonial. And I'm just going to drag that right into the first column. And the reason I call this a compound element is because it comes with a few different elements. It has the text for the testimonial, it has a place for an image, it has their name and their job title. And you basically edit everything up here under content. So it's got a testimonial tab. So the content, this is where the actual testimonial text goes. This is where you choose their image and their name and their title. And here's where you can choose where the image position goes. Right now it's set to the side, but I'm going to set it for the top for the design we're going for here. And we're actually going to do one other thing. We're going to because what I like to do with the testimonial is add a headline to it, really calling out maybe 2 or 3 words that are really powerful from the text. So let's go up to widgets, and I'm going to drag a heading right on top. And we're just going to call that quote headline, and I'm going to center that, and we're going to style it. We're just going to go typography, transform, uppercase. Now I would like to make this text slightly smaller, so let's just choose this whole testimonial element, and we'll go up to style, And you'll see everything's broken out into content, which is this, the image, the name, and the title. So under content, we'll just choose typography, and the font is fine. I'm just gonna make it a little smaller though. And now I'm going to choose the name and typography, transform into uppercase, and I'm gonna make it a bit larger as well. And then let's talk about the title, typography, uppercase, size, slightly bigger too. That looks good. And I'm gonna make that color our bright orange color, and I'm actually gonna make the name white. So we're gonna lose it for a second, but you'll see it very shortly with what we're doing here. Okay, so we're gonna give this whole column kind of a background. So let's choose the column, go up to style. So remember how we can do a classic, one color background, like just a light gray or even a dark color. But what we're actually going to do is a gradient, but here's the thing, it's not really gonna look like a gradient, and I'll show you what I mean. So we're gonna choose the first color, and I just chosen a really nice light gray. And then for the other color, I'm gonna choose our really dark blue that almost reads as black. Now here's where it gets kind of interesting, because obviously a gradient can go really gradually, or it can go all at once. So what I wanna do is I wanna have kind of a line that falls right in the middle of the image. So we just gotta play around with the placement, and as long as these two values are pretty much right on the same number, that's what we'll get. So let's bring it down to about there. So we have 65, I'll move that to 65 as well. Perfect. But what I want to do to finish this out is I want to give it a little bit more padding and a little bit of a margin as well, so that these aren't all touching each other. Because remember, we're going to duplicate this, and if we don't do that, they're just going to be touching, which isn't what we want. So click on the whole column, then go up to advanced, and we're going to unlink the margins, and we're just going to give it 10 on the right, 10 on the left, and then under padding, we're going to keep that all linked, and we're just going to give it 30 on all sides. Okay, so again, we're going to right-click, delete, and then right-click, duplicate, and once more. From there, it's just as simple as changing out the headline and the text under content on each one of these, and the name and their job title, and of course, the images. And to do that, you just click on Choose Image, and let's just choose this one. Now we still have to do the header and footer, but let's check out what we've got so far. Nice hero image going into the benefits, and then a nice About Us section, followed by services, and some testimonials. And as you can see, while this does have that kind of athletic, sporty look to it, it works very well for just about any kind of business. I could see an accountant using this. I could see a mechanic using this. It's really just all about the images you choose, and obviously you can change around the colors too. So there's just one more thing to do here, and that's add the header at the top and the footer at the bottom. And normally you do need the pro version of Elementor to get that to work, but I have a really simple trick you can use to get it to work for free. So just click right over here to get that video and finish up your new website in just a few minutes. So click here, and I'll see you there in just a second.